Welcome back. BoySober is a new social and dating app that encourages young women to prioritize healthy platonic friendships. Popularized by Brooklyn-based comedian Hope Woodard, BoySober is a rebranded form of celibacy that encourages individuals to take a break from romantic relationships to unlearn toxic dating habits and focus on personal growth. The head of brand and marketing for YUZU, Cindy Lim, joins me to discuss. Cindy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, this was the first time I've ever heard something like this, and it is very intriguing. Can you tell me, a little bit more about the concept, or the beginning of the concept of BoySober? How did that whole journey begin?
Yeah, I mean, it was coined by Hope Woodward, who's a Brooklyn-based comedian and storyteller, and she really wanted to detox from dating habits and perhaps toxic relationships that she may have been a part of. And Gen Z really, in Gen Z language, ate that up. Gen Z really does align well with what she's really going for, focusing on self-discovery and distancing herself from potentially toxic relationships. And BoySober itself does have a connotation that carries baggage, like what's the opposite of BoySober? It's boy drunk. It's not really, it means that sometimes boys or male relationships can become a toxic cycle of females or males seeking validation from their partners, and it's really just about taking a step back and discovering yourself and your own passions.
Now, you talked about Gen Z. With that being said, why do you think the concept is resonating so much with this generation of young people?
Yeah, I think it's because honestly, Gen Z has so much access to social media, whether it's through dating apps, social networking apps, of course, just IRL stuff too. And with all of that exposure comes a lot of new connections, and with more connections increases the possibility of more toxic connections as well. So I think that's the reason why Gen Z is really hyper focused on protecting their mental health and having their space and distancing themselves from anything that could potentially cause toxic habits for them.
Now, in what ways does BoySober address the challenges posed by superficial connections and toxic dating habits? So I know in the beginning I said it is still kind of like a social app. And I guess if a deeper relationship comes from that, that could always be a good thing. But how does it also address, kind of stepping away from toxicity that we see in most relationships, and especially in dating apps?
Yeah, I think, well, YUZU is a social and dating app. So we not only have the features that regular dating apps have, such as, finding your partner nearby, but we also have social features that includes finding friends, so friend discovery, as well as finding communities. So in a way, we really like to be that one and all platform, a social playground where people can come. If they want to seek a relationship, they can seek a relationship in the dating mode. But if they want to be BoySober, and if they want to just belong to a community and maybe find a community that aligns with their interests, because we do have interests that range from anime to K-pop to EDM to whatever, or DIY crafting, travel, so whatever your interest is, finding that community that you can really belong with and cultivate non-romantic relationships with is something that YUZU really helps with.
Now, I think this is really important for all generations, really, because it's a societal thing. But how can people just navigate societal pressure, in regards to jumping into serious or casual relationships? I know everyone feels that pressure, whether they're in high school or whether they're turning 50 next year, that they have to have a boyfriend or a serious relationship.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's a lot of self-discovery and self-security. I think a lot of the times we get affected by what our society standards are. For example, I have friends who are already getting married or having kids, and sometimes, I'm single and I'm like, wow, where's my husband, or where are my kids? I do dream of that life too, but I think it's really important to know that everyone is on earth for a different purpose, and to really be centered in why you're here, setting your intentions straight. And I really think that's where being BoySober also really helps, because it gives you that space to step away from any romantic entanglement or perhaps toxic energy that you could feel from your significant other, to really focus on what you actually really enjoy doing, what you like eating, what you like exercising, and how you want to spend your time that away from any romantic relationships.
Now, how does the app actually help with personal growth? So, I know that sometimes certain apps will have prompts or, they will kind of spark certain discussions among people. How does this app kind of work towards helping people, kind of achieve that personal growth?
For sure. I think, well, the app in itself, how it's built, definitely does encourage that friend and community aspect. But furthermore, we really do try to create a comforting space for people to have casual conversations where we have prompts focused on, maybe their music tastes, maybe their food taste, maybe their personality trait. So something that really portrays who they are as people, as well as our community feature, which has community groups focused on, honestly, like so many different hobbies and interests. You'll probably find something for you there. And when I go on, there are at least 20, 30 people just kind of just chatting away, and you can just pop right in and be like, hey, I'm this person from here. I love this brand from for fashion, and this is who I am, and people will just be so open. And we also do have moderators who do continuously stay active to make sure that the conversations are engaging, as well as we have a 24/7 support team that does moderate for any hateful or harassment languages.
That's amazing, and I'm so glad to hear that, because that when you're building community, you don't want people
Yeah.
who could kind of like deter or derail things. So I think that's pretty cool. With that being said, I also want to talk about just the importance of having platonic relationships, because although I do think in this generation we are in a better place where you don't feel the same exact pressure to get married by 21 or 25 that maybe older generations had. I do think it's important to talk about why we should try to center platonic relationships. Is that something that the app kind of explores or kind of teaches people about?
For sure. I mean, we recently ran a survey with our app users, and 81% of the respondents responded that they value friendships over romantic relationships, which really speaks for kind of, I guess, the purpose of our app, which is a social first dating app as well. And I think that platonic relationships and friendships are the core of really self-discovery and making you a better person without having expectations from a romantic angle. Like I feel like when I'm in a relationship, obviously that person who is hopefully my soulmate will be able to complement who I am perfectly. But because I want to also impress that person and I want to look good, I will probably try to center myself in a way that is more attractive to them. Whereas I feel like in platonic friendships, it's really about being completely who I am and finding that person who vibes with my whole self. And that's why just having platonic relationships with multiple different friends will be able to improve your self-discovery and your self-image and self-respect.
Now, I know that for, kind of most of it, we're centering it as like young women, but, who do you think the ideal audience is? Or, could this be something that's for everyone?
The BoySober?
Yeah.
I think so. Honestly, my mom, she's married to my dad still, but I do think that she has her BoySober moments, and it's really healthy for her. She, she, she says she doesn't want him talking to her all the time because she needs her space to watch her TV and eat her own snacks and hang out with her own friends. And I think distancing yourself from a romantic relationship, whether it's a boy or a girl, is healthy for you, because you do need that own time to step away from any sort of physical attraction that may be in the air to be able to think and reflect.
I think that's
right.
great. And I love that you mentioned that, your mom, who is in a relationship is, kind of likes it. Because I think that we often think, oh, this is for singles or people who are single. But people who are in relationship could also benefit from decentering their partner, within their life. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I'm the type, when I'm in a relationship, I'm honestly like wanting to be 24/7 with that person, so it's much easier said than done. But I do encourage people in relationships to also seek time for themselves, because it's just gonna help them grow even more.
Now, what are some things that people, I know this is a great app, what are some things people can do in real life to kind of adopt a boy sober life?
Yeah, so Yuzu actually does do a lot of community events. I just came back from LA actually yesterday, and honestly, just joining a lot of events that's focused on community building. So we recently had a fitness event where we hosted a boxing workout class with all female crowd, and it was just really about using your core and your energy to release that adrenaline that you may have built up. And you know, we the crew that came all are remaining as friends, and it was great. Another event that we recently did is we had a board game social. So we had a bunch of different board games from Uno to We're Not Really Strangers to a lot of Asian games as well, because we are a app designed for the Asian community. And people just it would be just be like, you know, a bit long table, and people just come and join, and you're suddenly playing We're Not Really Strangers and learning all these things about each other. And honestly, it's just like it's so refreshing to be able to step out of the community that you're usually part of and to connect with people with such different backgrounds, such different energies. And I really think that immersing yourself into IRL events that are focused on community activities and friendship building activities is a good way to embrace BoySober.
That's amazing. Now, very quickly, because we have about a minute left, what do you hope to see for the future of BoySober?
I hope to see, honestly, I think that there's a lot of different definitions going around BoySober. Some people are like, is BoySober abstinence? Is it celibacy? I think it's whatever you choose it to be. But for me personally, I don't think it is neither. I don't think it is those things. I think BoySober is purely a mental concept where, you really try to distance yourself and set your intentions right for self-discovery and self-awareness and self-improvement, versus abstinence and celibacy has more to do with religion and sexual restraints.
Okay, well, Cindy, I want to thank you so much for joining us. This was really interesting because, as I mentioned, this was like the first time I'm kind of hearing about a movement like this, and I'm definitely on board. I think it's amazing. I think more people should know about this. So, once again, thank you so much for joining us and kind of talking about this community.
Thank you.
If you want to know more about BoySober, please download the YUZU app either on the Apple or Google Play Store. Stay tuned, we have more for you right after this.